Good afternoon, everybody. I am Bob Brunner. I'm Vice President for Arik, and while he gets the presentation up, it's totally my honor and pleasure to be here with you today. I've been asked to speak a little bit about Arik and a little bit about how we work with the community. So we're going to go through just a few little agenda items as we go along. Arik started in 2006, and we provide Nigerians with a new world-class experience. So we brought the first new aircraft into Nigeria since 1982. We have world-class maintenance partners like Lufthansa and Iberia. They service the aircraft. They oversee all the servicing of our aircraft while we educate and bring Nigerians up to speed on being able to handle that activities themselves. We now meet all international safety standards. In fact, we're the only airline in West Africa that's allowed to fly into the United States, because we're the only airline in West Africa that's been approved by IATA and met all the IOSHA standards. We brought in expert expatriate management teams, and that's because there wasn't the talented skill there, but that's a commitment that the ownership has made, is that we are growing the local talent to take over. They want to put me out of a job, and I'm very happy to work that way. So developing the local talent base, support from the best-in-class Nigerians, and certainly focus on customer service is one of the three pillars that we're building the airline on. So it's founded in 2006, as I said, 100% privately owned by a family in Nigeria. Started with private jet service, then we went to domestic operations using CRJs, the brand new modern 900s. Now we have 19 destinations in Nigeria. Many of the domestic airports have been upgraded. We're working with the federal agency, the Federal Airport Authority, as well as the Nigerian Airport Authority to get that done. Regional flights are now throughout West and Central Africa. Long-haul flights to Johannesburg, London, and New York. And we are now the market leader in Nigeria with that, well, it's probably more than 58% market share now, but it was 58 back last year. And in 2011 alone, we carried over almost 2.5 million people, and we're way ahead of that this year. We can just these are just an example. Like we only deal with recognizable names. You're not going to find people that we're dealing with because we really understand the perception. When I started this job, I can't tell you the comments that I got about another Nigerian airline coming into the United States. Overcoming perception was the biggest hurdle we had to do. Nobody cared what the reality was, they only knew what the history was. And we had to change that. So we're investing in our people. These are some of the cabin crew that graduate. We have development and training for maintenance staff, international flight crew, engineering, all ongoing educational efforts to bring the local population in Nigeria up to world-class standards. We've been rated Airline of the Year 2008, 7, 8, 9. I believe we've gotten more since then. International Quality Awards, Business Leadership Awards, Best Security and Safety Awards, all of which we really want because, again, to overcome the perception, these are things that are recognizable by the international communities as meeting a standard that they can understand. So our current route network, primary hub Lagos and Abuja, 31 destinations, 20 of them are domestic, 8 West and Central Africa, and 3 long haul. Just a picture of the route network. As you can see, we've got Nigeria itself fairly well covered. Okay. That's from Abuja. This is a picture of our fleet. Again, all brand new, modern, world-class aircraft. This is a business class looks like on the A340-500 that you flew from New York to Lagos on our aircraft. Fully flat beds, business class seats, 75-inch pitch, 17-inch television screens. We actually have a full bar and lounge in our business class. There's couches, bar stools, free drinks. Now, economy class, 201 seats in a 242 configuration with a seat pitch of 34 inches. Now, that compares to most carriers with a 31-inch pitch, and that means somebody about my height can still sit there and cross your legs in the seat. And by only putting a 242, which is 8 across, most airlines have 9, some even 10. Gives you a little bit of extra seat band room. And so it's just a little bit of a more comfortable experience when you're sitting on the aircraft. In-flight entertainment on demand on each seat. English and Nigerian, so we both do the Hollywood and Nollywood. We have African and Western cuisine. We have African and Western flight attendants. We don't want to be the airline for Africans, but we want to be the airline for Africa. So West Africa is our goal. Anybody going to West Africa, we want to be able to cater to them, so we cover both the Western and the African lifestyle choices. This is another picture of economy class. As you can see, people do have a little bit more leg room. Their knees aren't jammed up against the top. This is an example of the engineering. Our owners are engineers. They made their money in the power electric generation market, but they want only the top quality. So Emirates and Arik Air were the only 2 airlines that could actually track where every aircraft was every second, every minute as it flies across, wherever they're flying. So at any moment, we know exactly where our aircraft are. We can talk to the pilots, and we can talk to them about, delays and make all the planning and things, arrangements that we need to do. Our in-flight magazine. Normally, I wouldn't put this up as a screen, but as jaded as I am as an airline guy for as long as I've been doing this, I love our in-flight magazine. It's really better than almost any I've ever seen. In fact, it's better than any I've ever seen. So I don't know how many of you have flown us, but if you ever get a chance to, make sure you take it out of the seat back and read it, because it's pretty good. The numbers are growing exponentially as we just keep growing and growing. So this is the market share. As you can see, Arik Air is the top line. I wouldn't put it up if it wasn't, but it's something we're very proud of. Go ahead. So again, some of the achievements, and these are the big ones that what I consider big. Be proud of Nigeria. Nigeria is the only West African country that's been able to achieve Category 1 status with the United States. What that means is Nigeria is recognized as operating to FAA standards, the same standard as any U.S. airport operates to. Now, you'll read that some kid burst through security and got in our wheel well, and things like that are still happening in Nigeria. There is room for improvement. There will always be constant room for improvement. But the fact is that Nigeria is operating to FAA standards, and stuff happens here too. So we always read about somebody got through security with a gun or a knife or something, and that happens here. Stuff will happen in Nigeria. Don't be overly concerned about one instant. The security and the safety of the Nigerian airports are being certified constantly by IATA, by the FAA, and they are meeting Western standards. Stuff does happen. It happens everywhere in the world. Oh, go back, sorry. The first airline, Nigerian airline, and the only West African airline that has been recertified under FAA, IATA, IOSHA standards. That means we didn't just do a one and done. Oh, we got our paperwork done. Every 2 years, this has to be recertified, and we're the only airline that's been able to get it done on an ongoing basis. Part 129. Right now, when we started up, we've actually flying under a Portuguese operating certificate. We have our own operating certificate. Arik has been granted it. It's the only airline that's been granted its own, the ability to operate on its own paperwork. We haven't actually exercised it yet because getting the pilots, hiring all the pilots, and hiring all the infrastructure, and the software system's very expensive, and it takes a whole other department, let's say, which we haven't invested that in that department yet. But we have the opportunity to do that when we want to build that foundation for further growth, and that's probably going to happen I would say within 12 months, if not sooner. We bought the same reservation system that Emirates is using, and where we had to do that because the platform upon which we started as a small regional airline no longer works when you go into becoming a very large international carrier. So we invested in a new reservation system. We have our own fuel depot because there are fuel shortages still in air fuel, and we try to offset some of that by building our own fuel depot. And then in 2012, we had our 12 million guests. 10 million guests. I settled that, I think. We're expanding. A memorandum of understanding by the 747-800. We have 777s on order. We have the 787 on order. We have 737s on order. We have Airbuses on order. We are growing. We are planning on growing. We have a program with Cranfield University in the UK where we're going to fly our management and our up-and-coming staff from Nigeria, as well as the rest of the world. I'm going myself to go to Cranfield University for aviation training, aviation school. One of the most highly recognized schools in the world for aviation training. We've set up a program with them. We are in the Bank Sullivan plan, so now people, believe it or not, just 3 years ago, you could not buy a ticket in West Africa through a travel agent. You had to get online, you had to go to either our shop, or you had to come to the airport. We've now made it so you can buy tickets through travel agents in Nigeria. All advancing, and it's very hard. Sometimes a lot of you have lived in the United States for a very long time. I've lived in the United States for a very long time. To think you couldn't buy a ticket through, sometimes we can blame the Nigerian and their infrastructure, and other times we're just wrapped up in a vortex of the whole West African imagery, and not just perception, but this is reality. They are not meeting the standards, and therefore, for safety and security's sake, we have to do extra stuff in Nigeria. That causes hurdles, that causes time, and various other things. So we're looking to expand. We are not sitting on our laurels here and saying, okay, we've done good so far, we're going to stop and enjoy it. No, we're constantly looking for growth. We're hoping later this year or early next year to expand our New York service to go to 6 times a week. As soon as we get another aircraft, we have an A330 on order, and as soon as that happens, we'll probably look to New York and start going 6 times a week. So we still have challenges. The terminals, how many people have been through Lagos Airport in the last, say, year or so? It's probably not what you think of. It's not the same as when you fly through Atlanta or JFK. It needs work. It doesn't mean it's not safe and secure, but it's not necessarily comfortable and passenger friendly. Abuja, we're looking to grow that. Port Harcourt, we want more and better services there as well. We're building a super hangar for our maintenance, so the jumbo, the very large aircraft can actually fit. More fuel farms. I mean, the idea of Lagos traffic and the fuel trucks have to drive through that traffic to get to the airport. I'd say 50% of our delays are as a result of waiting for the fuel trucks to get there because they're stuck in traffic. Nothing we can do. But that's part of the thing. We want to be self-handling. As I mentioned, right now we're operating under a Portuguese operating certificate, so we want to get rid of that. Self-catering, that's in Nigeria. We're going to continue not to self-cater elsewhere in the world. And we're building our own aviation academy in Nigeria. West African air traffic is growing great. This is why we can be in business and why we look to continually buy aircraft and grow. The oil and gas and mining industries, agriculture, all the things that the ambassador was talking about. 7% annual growth in GDP, phenomenal. Great opportunity, not just for us as a business, for all of you business people as well. Great opportunity. Airline and airport safety, continue to get the IATA certificates. There are environmental concerns. Everybody who works in aviation hears about it. The carbon footprint is big. How do we continue to do that? By buying new aircraft, we're better off than many, but you constantly are looking to how do you green your business. improvement of passengers, reducing costs, fuel supply. All those things are challenges, but a challenge is also an opportunity. But we also deliver on our promises. As I mentioned, we promised you brand new aircraft. We deliver world-class products. We're delivering first-class maintenance. We're delivering. We are constantly making sure that we pay attention to safety, security, and customer care. Those are the three pillars. That's what I talk about most. We take care of those three things, the business, and you guys will take care of us. So what do we do to help the community and give back to the community? And these are just a few of the things that we have done over the past, let's say, few weeks and coming up in the next couple of months. There's a Peace Square concert tour going on right now. We were the airline, we flew them over. And the key thing here is we make this possible. This stuff doesn't happen unless Arik Air says we'll give them the tickets, we'll make it happen. Because there's no way Peace Square tour, we probably gave them almost $100,000 worth of tickets. They're not coming over if somebody has to spend that money. There is no promoter that's going to be able to make the books balance if they don't get that. Flavor concert. Now, how many people here have heard of Flavor? Okay. Flavor doesn't get known in the United States if we don't bring him over here to get his name out. And that's what we're trying to do, is help some of the Nigerians grow their image, their businesses, and their place in the world. They are rightly fantastic musicians or artists or business people, and we want to help them get exposure here. And on the other hand, some of the things we do is about driving business from here to Nigeria, as you'll see as we go through it. So as Ice Prince, we were part of the Black Entertainment Awards out in Los Angeles this weekend. In fact, when I'm leaving here, when I go back to New York right now, starting today is the Nigerian Entertainment Awards, a very big 3-day event there. We were part of the Universal African Awards. Coming up is the Life and Times, the newspaper magazine in Los Angeles. We'll be part of their fiesta, the Encano, some of the associations like NIDO and Encano. We get involved in their big events. Gateway to Africa Gala. ATA, the Africa Travel Association. Every year they have a big gathering to generate tourism to Africa. And so we are the lead sponsor. This year is going to Cameroon. And as during the September UN General Assembly, there's African Tourism Day, where many of the African leaders and ministers come over, and we support that. Fashion show. There are so many African designers that are trying to get recognition here. So we jump in and we join with the fashion shows, and we fly a lot of these designers over so they can, when all the buyers are at these fashion weeks, they can present their talents to them. We don't support them, that doesn't happen. We'll be in the Nigerian Independence Day Parade with a float, again, recognizing how great the independence is. 54 years? Is that 53? 53 years now. Phenomenal. Nollywood, we're supporting the Nollywood, the actors and actresses, and again, some of the tribes and various things that they do, the culture. So we're all over the place trying to give back, to help, and at the same time, we look for exposure and advertising so that everybody, the Arik name gets very well known within the Nigerian community. Based on what we've seen, we think it's working. Our flights this summer, last month we were 74% up on the year before. So thank you all who help support us. And that's what we look for. It's like when you don't fit into, if you don't sing like Ice Prince and you have to buy your tickets, we ask you to buy them with us. That's all. So thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the conference. I will take questions.
Yes. Okay. Just for a few, before we break for
Ambassador?
Yes. What discount facilities do you have?
What discounting facility?
Yeah, discount facilities.
All right.
For Nigerians, especially, or in general?
Let's start with in general.
Yeah.
For corporations, for businesses that have regular business going back and forth to Nigeria, we have corporate agreements that if you give us a percentage of your business or you reach a revenue threshold, we can talk about getting reduced rate travel. Some of the communities, if you're part of a community and you're going over with one of the associations or trade missions, or if it's part of a what do you call it, a medical mission. We work with the Nigerian Doctors Association, the nurses, the African Women's Cancer Awareness Association. When they do all their missions, we typically try to give them a preferential price. Now, as an individual, not a lot I can do. But what we do have is pricing with some of the travel agents. So if you go to your travel agent, and they typically know how to get you the lowest price in the market, and that's what I would recommend is we work, because we do have wholesale prices available, and travel agents can work with another travel agent and eventually usually get you the best price.
Yes, Atlanta having a good number of Nigerians and businesses.
Yes.
Do you plan in the near future of having a hub here in Atlanta?
All right. The question, if you couldn't hear it, is: are we planning on flying nonstop from Atlanta to Nigeria as well as New York? No. The short answer is no. The little bit longer answer is not right now. The politically correct answer is maybe sometime in the future. But the way we're going to handle Atlanta is right now, Arik Air is a point-to-point standalone airline. We don't have any alliances, we don't have any relationships, we don't have any interline agreements with any airline pretty much in the world. What we have to do in order to overcome that is become part of something called the IATA Clearinghouse. That's a kind of banking system that all the airlines join and put a lot of money into a pot. And therefore, when you have a ticket that says you wanted to fly, let's say you're going to Chicago, and you flew AirTran to New York and then jumped on a JetBlue flight to Chicago, somehow JetBlue wants some money out of that ticket and AirTran wants some money out of that ticket. Well, this clearinghouse is the one that says, okay, you get this much and you get that much. Arik has not joined that yet because it takes millions and millions of dollars of free money to just say, okay, you can hold it for us. And we're building it. We're going to probably do it later this year. But once we join that, then we can start negotiating with those other airlines and start doing those sorts of things. So at that point, we'll probably have a relationship with Delta. And you can fly Delta to New York and then get on our flight. And your baggage would go through, you wouldn't have to collect it in New York. Should we be delayed or they be delayed and you miss a flight, there are protections involved. So you get all that when that happens. Right now, that's not there. But that's probably how we'll serve cities that we can't fly nonstop to.
All right. Well, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to cut it at that point. Robert will be around afterwards for one-on-one conversation, but at this time, I'd like to thank him very much for coming out last minute.